There's a lot of stuff that no app, textbook, or influencer will ever teach you. It's not the grammar rules or vocab lists, it's the mental side of things. The doubts, the slow progress, the awkward conversations, the comparisons, I think that is what trips people up the most. Look, I've been at this for years. I made all the mistakes, I avoided speaking forever, and I've been through the plateaus that felt like they would never end. And through all that, I realized some heavy truths that really change how you approach language learning. And if you know them, it makes the journey so much easier. So today, I want to share 5 more things I wish I had known when I first started learning Japanese nearly 20 years ago. Truth number 1, you'll always feel behind. Okay, so one of the toughest aspects of learning Japanese in my experience isn't the kanji or the grammar. It's the constant comparison. Like, no matter how much progress you make, there's always someone who seems ahead of you. You might see someone who started after you but speaks more fluently. Or you might come across a video titled, "I learned Japanese in 6 months," and wonder, am I doing something wrong? Like, why is it taking me so long? But here's the truth we all forget. This language is just hard. For everyone. But our brains love to play this nasty trick where it takes someone else's highlight reel and compares it to our own behind-the-scenes struggle. Even when you reach N1 or become conversational, you're still going to encounter people who make you feel like you're just not there yet. And that is completely normal. But you gotta just tune it out. Focus on your own path. Your Japanese is yours. And the only person that you need to be better than is the person who you were yesterday. Truth number 2, you need to actively listen. Okay, so a lot of people think they're listening to Japanese just because it's on in the background. Like, you know, having your favorite anime playing while you're cooking or putting on a podcast during your commute. And look, that's not a bad thing. Like, it definitely does something, but if you really want to level up, it's not enough. The thing is, there's different ways to listen, and they're not all created equal. First, there's what I call background listening. That's when the sound is there, but you're barely paying attention. Your mind is totally somewhere else. Like, you might catch a word here and there, but for the most part, it's kind of just noise. Then there's passive listening. And this is when you're only halfway tuned in. Like, you might get the general idea of what's being said, but you're drifting in and out, and you're basically just skimming the surface. It's not that deep. And finally, there's active listening. So this is where you're giving your full attention. You're not just hearing the words, you're really trying to understand the whole meaning. You're noticing how the words run together, the rhythm of the sentences, the pitch of their voice. You're really forcing your brain to actually work. Now, you might be wondering why this even matters. Well, here's the thing. When you pay full attention, you just remember stuff better. The words, the grammar, the way that people phrase things, it actually sticks. And if you're only half listening, then a lot of that just slips away. And it even helps with speaking as well. Like, when you've clearly heard how the language is supposed to sound, you can reproduce it more clearly. Your brain has already absorbed the pattern, so you just end up making fewer mistakes when you try to put your own sentences together. Now, not all of your time needs to be fully focused, but you should absolutely be making time for it. Truth number 3, there is no finish line. Almost everyone starts out thinking, I just want to be fluent. Like, that's the dream, that's the goal, right? Well, the reality is there really is no finish line. I mean, think about it. You hit one milestone and then suddenly another one pops up. Like, first you just want to hold a basic conversation, and then you want to understand fast speech, casual slang, jokes with friends, and it just goes on and on. You also have to understand that fluency itself is a spectrum. There's different levels to it, and it's not like you wake up one day and you realize, oh, what do you know? I'm fluent now. No more need to study Japanese. It doesn't work that way. Like, even in your native language, the learning never stops. There's always new slang, new words, new ways to express yourself, and the same goes for Japanese. The moments that actually matter are the little things. You know, like catching the meaning of a song lyric, or making someone laugh in Japanese, or just following along in a fast conversation. I think that, at least to me, is what makes the whole thing worthwhile. And if you can accept that, learning Japanese becomes something you just enjoy rather than something that you're constantly chasing. Truth number 4. Passing N1 doesn't mean you can speak. Okay, so you can study for years, pass the highest levels of the JLPT, know all the kanji, and still sit down with a group of Japanese friends and maybe understand half of what they're saying. And the reason for this is because the JLPT is a multiple choice test. It measures whether you can recognize the right answers, but not whether you can handle a messy, fast conversation. It doesn't test if you can joke around, understand slang, or follow the flow of real speech. And don't get me wrong, because passing N1 is a massive accomplishment in itself, but it's not the whole picture. Many learners with high JLPT scores share the same experience. Like, reading novels or news articles is one thing, but following rapid, natural conversation is another. And that gap exists because tests are controlled and predictable, whereas real conversations are not. So closing that gap requires immersion. That's talking to native speakers, listening to varied media, and practicing in real-life situations. That is what builds fluency. Truth number 5, you'll never feel ready to speak. So after realizing that passing N1 doesn't automatically mean you can communicate effectively, I think this is where the real test begins. Waiting to feel ready is a trap. Like, that moment might never come. Like, you're not going to just magically feel confident or perfect one day. The real growth happens when you speak anyway. It's when the words come out wrong, or you mix up a tense, or you say something awkward. Like, that is when your brain is working the hardest. Now, I'm not saying you need to speak from day one. I think you should absolutely get plenty of input first, but you also don't need to wait forever. Every uncomfortable conversation is a learning conversation, and making mistakes is where that memory sticks, and over time, the fear does start to fade. But not because the mistakes stop happening, but because you just get used to it. So speak even when it feels messy. Every conversation is building skill, confidence, and the fluency that passive study cannot give you. So if you're feeling behind, uncomfortable, or stuck, just remember that the struggles are part of the journey. Accept them, lean into them. Progress isn't always visible, but it is happening every time you engage with the language. So keep going because you're probably doing better than you think.